All right, guys. So here's a video. And this video is about solving equations, and we've done this before. Okay, so we have an equation up here. But what I wanted to do, I wanted to kind of call it out in each specific step that we should go through. And there are multiple ways you could do this. So if you have a different way that you kind of go through an equation, that's totally fine, right? But this is kind of one way that you could go through solving this equation, all right? So just in case you're like, oh, I'm not really solid on how I could work through this, this is definitely one way you could do it, okay? So I have the steps here on the left. So I have step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and step 5, okay? And it seems like it's a lot, but it's actually not, and you'll see that it's kind of keeping up with things, and that's why I wanted to break it down step by step, just so you guys could see this, okay? So the first thing we're going to do, whenever we approach an equation that's kind of like this, we have a few things going on here. And the biggest thing, or the initial thing that we want to do, we want to look at, can we distribute any of the information in here, okay? And by distribute, we're talking about the distributive property. And when we distribute, what we're looking for these grouping symbols, and these are parentheses, right? If we have these in our equation, we really want to get rid of them, okay? That's kind of the first thing we want to do. And the way we can get rid of them is we can distribute. And so here, we're talking about the distributive property. We're going to have a coefficient on the outside here, and then on the inside, this is just going to be our quantity, all right? And I'll always talk about things that are within parentheses or grouping symbols as quantities. So this is the quantity x minus 3, okay? And it's being multiplied by 6, all right? So everything inside the parentheses is being multiplied by 6. And so we just want to show that, okay? And that's what the distributive property does. So we're going to take our 6 and we're going to multiply it. We're going to multiply it. This is multiplication. Multiply. And we're going to multiply it times the x. And so that will give us our 6x. And then we're also going to multiply it times the 3. And this is actually a negative 3. So I really want you to make sure you are thinking about that negative out in front, okay? So 6 times negative 3, and that would give us the negative 18 right here, negative 18, all right? So now that we have distributed here, and we have our 6x minus 18 here, and when I say minus 18, that's the same as negative 18, okay? Those are interchangeable. We can use those the same way. The second thing we want to do, our second step, is we want to combine like terms. And again, guys, we've done this, right? You've heard of this. And so if we're looking at this entire equation, we could just go through and kind of see which terms we can combine. And remember, a term is anything that is separated by a plus or a minus, okay? And so on the left side of our equation here, and I'll just back up for 1 second, and I'm sorry, guys, but I do want to make sure that we are solid on this. Remember, when we have our equal sign, and notice how I kind of lined up my equal signs here, there's a reason for that, because we want to make sure that we understand we have a left side of our equation and a right side of our equation, right? And so we always want to, just to help you out initially, if you want to, draw a line through your equal signs. So even from this first equation, you can draw a line straight down, which isn't not very straight, but you could draw a line straight down, and kind of as you're going through, make sure you're putting your equal sign exactly on that line, so you understand, hey, this is the right side of my equation. That's the right side, and this is the left side of my equation. And that matters because we can't just combine everything the same way. So coming back to combining like terms, on the left side of my equation, I could combine two things over here. So I have a 6x, a negative 18, and a positive 2x. So this negative 18 is a constant. There's nothing here for me to combine it with. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring it down. So it's just going to go right there, okay? Negative 18. I didn't do anything to it. However, the 6x and the positive 6x and the positive 2x, I can combine those together, right? I can add 6x plus 2x. And 6x plus 2x, right? I can add those together and I'll get 8x right here, okay? I just combine those. Now we can look on the right side of our equation, okay? Notice that was just the left side. Now let's look and see on the right side, is there anything I can combine together? Well, I have 4x here and then a positive 2. Well, I have a variable here and I have a constant here. So these cannot be combined together. I cannot make this like 6x. Okay, I can't do that because the 2 does not have a variable. It doesn't have an x with it, okay? So we cannot combine them. We don't do anything with them. We just bring them down, and here's 4x, or 4x plus 2, okay? So now that we got through step 3 is going to be us using our inverse operations. Now here's the thing, guys. Inverse, all this really means is opposite. Opposite. So our opposite, sorry, sorry guys. This is where, oh my goodness, this is terrible. Sorry. I promise I can spell. I promise. Opposite. Um, our opposite operations, okay? So whenever you see this inverse, it's really just, we're just kind of saying, what's the opposite operation? So if we think about opposite operations, and I'll write them right here. So the opposite of plus is minus, okay? Is negative, positive, negative, right? The inverse of division is multiplication. All right. So when we're talking about inverse, we're saying what's the opposite operation? Okay. What's the if something is positive, how can I like cancel it with a negative? If something is being multiplied together, how can I cancel that? I can divide it. Okay. And you'll see that later on. So we're talking about our inverse operations. And the reason we're going to do these inverse operations is to move the variable to one side. All right. So again, this is just an example. There's multiple ways you could do this, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to choose to move my variable to the left side of the equation. So I want all my x's on the left side of the equation. All right, that's the first thing I want to do. Now to do that, what I need to do again is my inverse operation. So if I need to move this 4x to the left side, I have to cancel it from the right side, right? I have to get rid of it, okay? And the way we're going to get rid of it, we're going to use our inverse operation. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 4x. Now, the reason I subtracted 4x was because this is a positive 4x, right? There's no plus sign in front, but we know that's a positive 4x. So the inverse or opposite of positive 4x is minus 4x, all right? And also notice here that I subtracted it even though it's 4x. That's totally fine. But I did not subtract just 4, okay? If I only subtract 4 here, that would be me subtracting a constant, but this is a variable, all right? So I need to subtract the entire term, 4x, right? So 4x minus 4x is 0. It just cancels out, okay? Basically, it goes away, and I'll put a little 0 there so you can see that. Now what I have to do, though, if I did it on the right side, I have to also do it on the left side. So I subtracted 4x from the right side. So I have to also subtract 4x from the left side. And the reason we do this is to keep our equation balanced. We have to always, always, always balance our equation, just like a scale, right? If we're weighing things, you got something on the right here, right? We got something on the right here. We have to have the same thing on the left, okay? We have to balance our equation, all right, all the time. So if I subtracted 4x from the right side, I have to subtract 4x from the left side. So now I have 8x minus 4x, which is just 4x, you see right here, okay? Now this negative 18, right, or minus 18, I didn't do anything with it. So I can just bring that straight down, and here it is right here, all right? So then for our fourth step, we're also going to do inverse operations or opposite operations, but we have a different reason for doing it this time. We actually want to move the constants, and constants are just numbers, just normal, regular numbers. So Those are our constants in our equation. So notice on the right side, I don't have any more x's over here. Okay, there's no more x's over here. And then all my x's are over here. But I still have this constant on the left side, this negative 18, right? And negative 18. Well, I need to get rid of it, right? I need to cancel it out. Remember, the opposite of negative is positive. So I'm going to add 18 to the right or the left side of my equation. So I'm adding 18 here. So negative 18 plus 18 is 0. It cancels it out. I need to keep my equation balanced, right? So if I do it on the left side, I have to also do the same thing on the right side. So I also need to add 18 to the right side. So now I have 2 plus 18. Well, that's 20. Right there it is, okay? And on the left side, this has been canceled out. It went away, right? So now I just have this 4x, which I just bring down, all right? So 4x equals 20 now. All right, and then we're kind of on our final step here, or second to last final. And so we have step 5 here, which is inverse operations again, but again, a different reason is to isolate the variable. So meaning I want to get this x that's been in here, these x's, right? First I combined them together, so I just had one thing that had x with it, right? And then so now I just have this 4x, but I don't want 4x. I'm not trying to find the value of 4x. I want to find the value of just x all by itself, okay? I want to isolate it. Isolate means to be alone, right? So I want x all by itself. So what I have to do here, since it has 4x, and this is, guys, remember, when two things are touching here, they're being multiplied. There's a little multiplication right in the middle. We don't put it there anymore. We don't show it, okay? But it's really 4 times x when we're talking about 4x. This is multiplication. So the opposite or the inverse of multiplication is division, So if I have these two things multiplied together, the way I undo this multiplication and can cancel the 4 is by dividing by 4. Dividing by 4. So 4x divided by 4, what happens here is the 4's cancel. And when I say they cancel, what's happening is 4 divided by 4 equals 1. Okay? So then I just would have, if I have 4x divided by 4, sorry guys, if I have 4x divided by 4, then and these cancel, right? What that would equal is 1x. So how many x's do I have? Just one, just 1x, okay? So we don't write the 1 anymore, so it would just be x all by itself right here, all right? And then now remember, we need to keep our equation balanced. On the left side, we divided by 4, right? So on the right side, we have to also divide by 4. So 20 divided by 4 is 5, all right? And so our final answer here is x equals 5.